Oh man, it's well. First of all, I've done a lot of other jobs, and I gotta tell you, I love writing. And I think I love writing in particular because I've done so many other jobs. And I almost sometimes feel sorry for people who come straight out of college, with their master's in fine arts or whatever the degree is, and they've gone to a writing program, and they're 24, 25, and now they're writing. And I think, well, did you have a life at any point in there? Did you do something before you were a writer? No, you just went straight into being a writer. And then I wonder if they know how cool the job is. Because seriously, I waited tables for 10 years, I worked in a bowling alley, and I've cleaned people's toilets for a living. And after doing all that, you pretty much every day, it's not that I don't complain about my job sometimes, like anybody, but mostly I look at this and I go, wow, you are so lucky. You so don't deserve this. And this is like cool, and remind yourself every day, this is cool. And here I am, I'm in Scotland. And everything is paid for by somebody else, which is the best way to travel. And it's just all part of my job. It's amazingly cool. It's a cool job. Probably because I have no talent for anything else. There was a period of time when I thought I might be able to paint, but I was just never serious about it, and I kind of sucked. But I'm decent at writing. I have a natural ability for it. I'm certainly not particularly well educated as a writer. That is, I haven't taken courses in it or really learned how to do it. It was on-the-job training, like an apprenticeship. So it was really, honestly, it started when my wife had too many books to write. We were ghostwriting somebody else's series for him, and she said, "Do this because I'm overbooked. I can't do this. I've got too much work." She said, "Would you write this for me?" I said, "Sure." That was literally how I became a writer. So it was by sitting down and starting to do it. So when the kids were asking about, well, how to, good advice is write. When you write, you very quickly learn what you don't know. And very quickly you discover what you don't have yet. And then you go, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, then you need to figure out how to do it. And it's no different in some ways than like deciding to take apart a car engine or something to put it back together. Well, you learn a lot in the process, and it may be very difficult, but when you're done, you know what you're doing. So that's how I learned to write, and that's why. And I guess I do it because it's the only thing I'm really fit for. I became a writer by my wife telling me I should become a writer, which sounds really bizarre, but we had done a lot of other jobs, and I'd written a little bit already, but not in any kind of serious way. And then my wife, Catherine Applegate, K.A. Applegate of Animorphs fame, kind of got us in the back door. Our first book actually was a romance novel under a pseudonym, and I'm not telling you what it is. It was a horrible book, but we got it published, and so we thought, well, that's cool. And then we started ghostwriting for Sweet Valley Twins, because those were all ghostwritten. Ghostwriter is a person who does the writing when somebody else takes the credit. So we wrote a bunch of those, and that was the story I was telling before about when my wife said, I've got too many, what can you do? We ended up doing 19 of those and a bunch of other stuff, and she just said, would you take this on? I said, sure, I can probably figure this out. So one of my first writing assignments actually was writing this book, Sweet Valley Twins. It's a big long series, I found 100 books or something. I got to help at least write the one where Jessica Wakefield gets her first period. And I thought, well, that's nice. And then we went on to write a lot of other stuff, and they kept getting longer and more complicated, and they became more our projects and less somebody else's. And then from there, they gave us more and more series, and then we came up with kind of the big break point was when we came up with Animorphs, and then suddenly it went from we were kind of working writers to like semi-famous, successful writers. Well, I'll tell you the most beautiful place we'll probably ever live in is we were living in Italy for 8 months, not in a castle, but just like down the hill from a castle in one of what used to be where the men-at-arms would stay. So we were required, actually, if trouble had broken out with another castle, I think we would have had to be in the fight. We're not sure how, but we stayed there for 8 months. But I'll tell you the truth, and I hate admitting this because it's an ugly place. It's Southern California. What humans have done to Southern California, it makes it hideous. But all my life, I was born there and lived there for the first 6 or 7 years of my life, and the weather was imprinted on me as though that is the normal weather. And that's the way weather should always be. So for the entire rest of my life, from age 7 to age 55, when I finally moved back to California, I complained about the weather because all weather should be, by right, sunny, no humidity, and about 79 Fahrenheit.
And sunny.
And sunny, always sunny. So it's got to be all those things. And then if it isn't, any deviation from that enrages me for some reason. So I take it personally. So my whole life I go around like, God damn the weather. You know, I would live in the South and be like, this goddamn humidity. And then, you know, I live up north, but it's so cold. How do people live like this? And so I would just complain. Now I'm back in LA and thinking, wow, it's so expensive living here, and the costs are so high, and the taxes are so high, and we could save a lot of money living somewhere else. And then it'll be November, and I step outside my door and I'm wearing a t-shirt, and the sun is shining. I think, oh, it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Welcome to Scotland.
When I was younger, I don't know that I had any kind of serious plans. At one point I wanted to be, I thought I might be an interpreter because I was raised in France for part of my childhood, so I spoke fluent French at one point. And I thought, well, that'd be easy. I wouldn't have to work too hard. I'd speak French. So I could interpret at the UN, which is just like right, yeah, that's gonna happen. And then this is so pathetic. For a while I thought I wanted to be an engineer and build stuff. And I think this is before I realized that I have the mathematical ability of the average house fern. No capacity for it at all. And then I just kind of didn't do anything for a long time. I would just grab whatever came by, you know, whatever job would come by. So I was in restaurants for a while. I was an antiques shopper for a while. I painted houses. Like I said, worked in a bowling alley. That was great. I was a law librarian. Don't even ask me how that happened. But I was. I worked in Washington for a big law firm there for a while. I was a library clerk, and then I was a law librarian in San Francisco while I was briefly attending college. So, and I've literally had dozens of jobs I don't even remember. I was an editorial cartoonist for a while for a small local newspaper, despite knowing nothing about the local politics and not being able to draw. But, you know, I guess, and I reviewed restaurants for the newspaper. I've done a lot of stupid stuff. And then finally found my life, you know, as a kid's book writer. Hobbies? Man, I so wish I had a hobby. Basically, I have a 13-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. So yelling at my kids is a big hobby. I have to do a lot of that. And then when I'm not yelling at them, I have to drive in places. And in LA, that's up and down the freeways. So it's just, I feel like anytime I'm not working, I'm probably driving somebody somewhere in the car. So there's a lot of that. I watch a lot of TV. I know I'm not supposed to admit to that, but I do. I read books, of course. And I like to go out, I used to like to go out to really nice, posh restaurants. And then when we had kids, it was just pretty much family restaurants from then on out. So it's been, and I'm sure all your parents will understand this, it's essentially a miserable experience once you have the children.